First off, I'd like to thank everybody for joining us today. My name's Trip Isley. I'm one of the sales managers on this call. We also have Suresh Bhagchandani, who's also another sales manager. And then Scott Shelton is going to be leading the majority of this call. He's one of our more senior sales engineers. Next slide, we'll kind of be going into a brief overview of how our account team is structured, mainly just to ensure that we're being transparent on who is here to support you in your account. All right, so just wanted to kind of lay this out for everybody. Each account is assigned a sales rep who obviously also has a sales manager. We also have assigned sales engineers to help with any kind of technical requirements as you are evaluating the product or any kind of future purchases. We also have dedicated customer success engineers or customer solution engineers who are responsible for ensuring that you're getting the most out of your purchase. This team can be brought in to ensure that you are getting the most out of your account and the current feature set. And then a portion of our customers also have renewal reps as well. So that's something that you can obviously speak to anybody on or that's assigned to your account. And over to Scott from here to kick us off with the quick agenda.
Awesome. Thanks, Trip. Something that I want to address as well as we're going, several of my colleagues, the solutions engineers and customer success engineers that you see there on this screen are going to be in the chat. So if you have any questions about anything that I'm mentioning or any of the features that come up, then by all means, throw a question in there. Those team members will answer. And if there's something that comes up pretty frequently, then we may address that live as well. So looking at a quick agenda, if I can get that to pull up here. There we go. Let's go back one. So for this agenda, you likely saw in the invite as well, we're going to spend some time looking at the email integrations that ShareFile has to offer, specifically the ShareFile for Outlook integration. We'll look at customizing those share and request options as well as encrypted emails within that feature set. And then we'll kind of pivot over to our integrated eSignature. We'll look at preparing and sending a document for electronic signing, as well as what the client's going to see their point of view for signing the documents through ShareFile. So we'll jump right into it. Again, being most of you guys are in the industrial vertical, every good part of a renovation project is that demo day. And so we're going to jump into a quick demo of everything that we talked about here. So you should see my ShareFile account here. I've got Acme Corporation. Most of you all are going to be familiar with this page here, looking at your recent files as well as your shortcuts over on the right-hand side. And you may be currently using the workflow to log into this portal and go to, share a file here over on the right-hand side. And then we'll have to go through the process of dragging and dropping a text document in here or whatever file that you're looking to send. And we can continue through here and edit these options to make these changes to what you need people to be able to do in these access controls. And then we can create and copy a link or send it using ShareFile's email portal. And that's all well and good. It works very, very well. But there's a easier way to do that through our Outlook integration. And that's kind of what we want to start with today. So I'm going to pull up a new email here within my Outlook, and you'll see, I haven't filled anything out, and we've got all of our comm add-ins across the top, and then you'll see our ShareFile option here. Now, we do have two listed. This one on the right-hand side is our ShareFile for Outlook Online. So whether you're using a local copy of Outlook or you're leveraging Microsoft Outlook Online, we can kind of fit that need. So we have both options. We also have a Gmail integration as well. This one is just probably the most widely used, and so that's what we want to highlight today. Now, I don't have the ability to convert any attachments, obviously, because there's nothing there. I do have the ability to attach files, whether that's from my computer or from ShareFile if something's already been uploaded, and I can request those files as well. And that just pops in a link right here. But if you don't get out of this piece here. If you don't set any of those settings, it's going to use the default settings for your Outlook. And I want to show what that looks like here. So if I pull open, I got to hide this piece over here. The Zoom floating media controls get me. So looking at this panel here is going to show you all of the details and all of these settings that we've got for our Outlook plugin. If we start off looking at general, this is going to be what you want the plugin to do for these files that you're sending. I believe the default is going to be automatically converting over 5 megabytes. We can make that smaller. You can make that larger. If you would like, you can only convert that to documents that you want. There may be things that you don't necessarily need to send through ShareFile in an encrypted manner. And so we can be very precise on what you want to actually send. And then if you want, you can have ShareFile convert all the attachments. Any file that gets added to your email will be converted to a ShareFile attachment. It can be sent out. We've also got an icon here to show that there is an attachment for your recipients, and then you can change the default for how long that link is going to be available for. 1 day, 3 days, a week, month, 3 years, 6 months, or 3 months, 6 months in a year. You can kind of adjust how long you want that to be set for. We go to the attaching files section. Now we get to the portion where we're going to dictate what the recipient is going to have to do in order to access these documents that you're sending. Certainly recommend having a notification enabled to email you when files are accessed. That way you know that the recipient has received it and opened the link and downloaded the file. Here we can control, like I said, the access controls, what that recipient has to do. We can have just a standard public option where if they have access to the link, they can click it, open it, and download it. They don't have to provide any information. The public must enter name and email. That's going to ask for first name, last name, and email address, just like you have on the website as well. The email recipients option is going to require them to sign in, but the caveat is that if your recipient doesn't necessarily have a ShareFile account with you already, then we're going to create one or create a free client user for them. They will get a welcome email and they'll be able to fill out their user information, set a password, and use that going forward. So we kind of take that step away from you. And then our last two options are going to be client employee users or specifically employee users. And those are our more secure options for signing in, putting in those ShareFile credentials in order to access the document that's being sent. Another security setting is going to be how many times we're allowing that link to be clicked on. If it's something that's very secure that you're not wanting that link to stay out there for an extended period of time, then we may drop that down to 1, 2, or 3 times. So after that second or third time that the link has been accessed, we will break the link. It will not be accessible anymore, regardless of who has access previously. And we'll have to generate a new link in order to send that out. For requesting files, it's going to look a lot the same, being notified whenever a file is getting uploaded, and then the same access controls here as well of what information they need to provide in order to send a file to you. But then we also have the ability to change where that upload location is. By default, we're wanting that to go to the file box. That's a temporary storage location that lasts for 180 days before we purge it from the system. You can change that to another one of your shared folders or personal folders if you want that to be a default setting of where that data is going to go. The encrypted email portion is going to be, we'll kind of expand on it a little bit here in a second. But again, notifying when emails are read, we're going to require recipients to sign in because we're encrypting this email. That's going to be a default for the account-wide setting. And we, of course, have the ability to determine how long that link is going to be available for. And then lastly, we've got whether you want that to be a banner to insert, which I'll show you here in just a second, or if you want it to just be a text hyperlink and then what you want the information to say whenever you put in that attachment. So let's say, for example, on this email, I take that same ShareFile test document that I was looking at before, and it's only 12 kilobytes. It's a small file, but now I've got the ability to convert that attachment. And you see that this is the banner text that I was talking about, that it will It'll convert this over here instead of showing just a text link. I can still type out whatever message that I want here. The piece that I was referencing before is that encrypted email option. So what this is going to do, it's an important thing to note that all attachments, all files that are sent through ShareFile are encrypted. In transit, at rest, your ShareFile data is protected and is encrypted. What this setting does is it's going to encrypt the body of the email. It's going to encrypt whatever message and text that you put in here. So if you're needing to send financial information, account numbers, PII, PHI, if that has to go through an email, then you can enable this encryption, and the recipient is only going to see a ShareFile banner that just says, hey, so and so has sent you files through ShareFile. They have to click on it, sign in, and access that data. Then they will be presented the um, with the message, with the files, and it actually kind of creates a little secure tunnel for them because they also have the ability to reply back through that message, and they have the ability to upload files through that setting as well. So if you're wanting to kind of have a back and forth through that encrypted tunnel, then that encrypted email option may be a good solution for you. And then the same can be said for requesting those files again. Just clicking that option, it's going to use the file box that I mentioned before. That's going to be there for them, that they'll be able to upload it. It shows you if you hover over it, the account that I'm leveraging is a different test account, and then the request ID that's going to be sent out. Now, full disclosure, I'm not able to send this email because we at ShareFile are a G Suite shop currently. And so the Outlook is disconnected. I don't have the ability to send that out, but it's going to present them with the same page that any shared link would show, whether it's requesting name and email address. When they click on it, it's going to open up into ShareFile. They'll provide their information and they'll be presented with that file. So to get these apps, you'll see up here on the right-hand side, we've got a couple options. The apps tab is what we're going to want to click on within your account, and the ShareFile for Outlook is our second option here. Again, this is that local install that I talked about. It'll download locally to your machine as an exe. You'll run it and install it into Outlook. You'll likely have to restart Outlook in order to spin it up and get logged into ShareFile. We also have the ShareFile for Gmail plugin here that you can access on this app as well as from Gmail directly. And then the ShareFile for Outlook Online is going to be available through the Microsoft Store. There's some feature differences currently, but we're working very quickly to have full parity across the board. All right. So the next thing that I'm going to jump into is our eSignature solution. Over on the left-hand side, we've got, the folders and some of the things that you're used to seeing, people's settings, inbox, but we've got our signatures. And what that's going to do is I'll click on our signature requests, and I've now got the full view of any files that I've sent out for signature. You'll see, and you may be familiar with the phrase right signature. That's the eSignature solution that ShareFile leveraged for years and years. But now we are integrating that directly into ShareFile, so it's not two separate parties. We're now working directly out of one. Over on the right-hand side, we've got the ability to create that signature request, and I have a few options. I can send for signature, which is what we're going to do here today. I've got the ability to bulk send. If I've got one document that I need signatures from a bunch of different people, then I can use an Excel or CSV and import that and send out that document for everyone to sign. Or if I'm in person, I can just sign a document myself leveraging this integration. So when I click this option here, I'll drag and drop a file over, and you'll see it also has some of that old right signature branding. I've got the ability to set whether I'm the only signer, then I can just go ahead and use my information that I'm signed in with and go to the next steps. I've also got the ability to add multiple recipients, and I can set the signing order. So if this document has multiple signature fields, you need 3, 4, 5 people to sign off on this document, then we can set those users, we can assign their signature boxes, but we can also dictate what order that they receive the email to be signed. So if I were to put in my test user here, we'll use Burt Macklin here. And it'll likely show up here. So let's say I also wanted to add myself to this. Then I can put in my information here, and maybe I need to sign it before Bert does. And so that way, this goes to me first. Once I've completed my section, then and only then will it be passed off to Bert to initiate his portion. But for now, we're just going to do a one signature file. All right, so we go to the next steps. This is where we have the ability to kind of create our document. So very basic form that I've got here. We'll go to our left-hand side and we'll grab a text document, a text box that I can fill in. We'll do a checkbox here. If I could get it in the right spot, and we'll do another checkbox here. And then kind of clean that up, make it look nice and neat. We'll add a signature option down here in the bottom bottom left-hand corner, and then we'll put a date. Now we've also got the ability, as you'll see, to maybe use some initials. I know a lot of contracts that we work with, we need initials in the top right-hand corner of every page that we're signing. So we can use that. We can add drop-down menus. We can add a checkbox group if there's multiple options here for checkboxes, and we can leverage that. And we can also request a file attachment through our eSignature. The other thing that I want to highlight over on the right-hand side, you'll see that most of these have that red star, which is showing that it's a required field. They have to fill this piece out. If I take that off, then now that becomes an optional field, and they don't have to fill it out. We know, a lot of financial forms, other contracts, there may be certain sections that aren't necessarily applicable to every single one of the people that you're sending it out to. So it'd be a good idea to set those as optional fields where if it does apply, they can fill it out. If not, it's not going to prevent them from sending anything over. The other thing you'll see is that this is where we change who it's assigned to. So if I had multiple people or multiple signature requests that I'm sending it to, then I could change that option here and get that assigned to the right person so that nobody is signing something they're not supposed to. They're not filling out a text box or anything that they weren't supposed to fill out. It's going to be dedicated specifically for that person. And we've also got the ability to change the name that they would see as they go to open it. When I click next over here, it gives me kind of a recap of what we're looking at. So the document name and where this document is going to be stored. If I were to edit this, maybe I can go into my personal folders, and I've got a contracts folder, and that's where I want all of these contracts to go back to. It's showing where this is going. And I can add a quick message here. We'll say, please review and sign. I can change the expiration for how long this link is going to be valid for. I can set a passcode here. So what that means is that I would need to get that 5-digit passcode over to my signer in some way, shape, or form, whether that's a phone call or a text or something like that. And the recipient has to put in this code in order to sign the document that I've sent them. And we also have the ability to enable knowledge-based authentication. That's going to leverage a third-party application called BlockScore, which will ask them certain security questions that only they should know based off the information that they provide. It's very personal to their identity, and they'll have to complete that in order to get in there and sign the document. So I'm going to click Send for Signature Request, and you'll see that now I've got the document here. It's listed everything that I'm requiring, who it's assigned to, and that it's in a pending status. I can go in and edit the recipients. I've got the message that I sent out. I can revise this contract as well, but if I do try to revise it, you'll see it's going to give you a warning that while you're making revisions, the link is going to be broken for everybody, and it's not going to be sent out again until we are finished, and we won't be able to unpause this request without sending that revised document. So we've got the ability, but it will break that link temporarily until the revisions are completed. And then if I needed to altogether, I could void this contract. So I'll jump over to my test user here, and you'll see in the Gmail account that I've now received a document for signature. We've got the ShareFile branding up at the top. We've got the name and the message that I provided. When I click this review and sign, I didn't ask for a passcode or any KB authentication, so it's going to take me directly in and kind of give me a run through of what I need to do in order to fill this out. So I'll go through step by step. pass through this here. We'll do, keep things honest. Even though this is not a required field, I'll say that I have read this sample document. When I get to the signature portion, if I have like a stylus or a pen or I'm using a tablet, I can draw this out. Even if I did have that, there's no way that I could draw something that looks like an adult wrote it, which is why I like to use the type signature because it makes it much more legible than I would be able to make it in real life. And so I'll apply this signature, and we'll also see here that, I've got one field left, but down in the bottom right-hand corner, I don't have the ability to submit this yet. So we're taking away the ability to submit incomplete documentation. The users are going to have to go in and fill out all the required fields in order for them to be able to submit that signature. I can save my progress. If I've got a really long document, multiple page contract, and something comes up, I don't have the ability to read all of it right now. I can save my progress and come back later and complete it, but I don't have the ability to submit it. But once I fill in that date field, now I have the ability to submit the signature. And I'm presented with the terms of use, privacy policy, and e-sign consent forms, which is what makes this a legally binding document. Once I submit it as the signer, I'm now presented with the completed document. I have the ability to download that option here, everything that's been presented. I'm going to be emailed a copy of that completed document as well, so that I have it for my records. And within my ShareFile account, I see that the document has been completed. And since I chose to save it back into my personal folders and my contracts, I've now got the signed document, the timestamp of when it was uploaded. And the nice part about our integrated e-signature solution is that with every single document that gets signed, we have a signature certificate specific to the document that's going to give you really all the information that you possibly could need. So when it was sent, when it was executed, how many pages, the file size, down here for the signer information, I've got the IP address of the location where it was signed from, the device used, as well as the type signature. And then I've also got a full timestamp of everything that was done, when it was created, emailed, viewed, authenticated, and then ultimately signed and submitted and executed. So that's all of the information. If there's any kind of questions about, hey, I don't necessarily think that this was signed or I never received it, then we have full information here in case there's any disputes about that. The last piece that I want to mention, and I meant to do this beforehand when I got started, is that we do have the ability to leverage templates within our signature solution as well. So as you saw, I was going in and kind of dragging and dropping each of these sections over here one at a time. We do have the ability to kind of set this up and then save it as a template. So if you're having some standardized documents that you're going to send out, maybe it's an engagement letter, if you're working through some onboarding with your HR department, you can have that contract, that document templatized. So all you have to do is choose that template, send it to the person's email address, and send it off and be done with it. And you don't have to continuously create this every single time that we do it. And that's kind of what we wanted to cover here today. That's the e-signature solution as well as the email integration within ShareFile. You'll see over on the right hand side inside of my Gmail, there's that ShareFile integration that we've got within Gmail as well. So like I said before, we do have the ability to leverage ShareFile's secure sending regardless of what email provider that you're leveraging. So what we'll do here is I'll kind of take a moment and lean into the chat. Trip, Suresh, were there any questions that came up kind of consistently, anything that needed to be answered live?
Scott, I don't see any questions on the chat, but I know this is something like consistently actually comes up. Like, if somebody is on a standard plan and they're trying to move to advanced and premium, like, what's the best bet? And I think my take on that, and Trip, if you want to like chime in, I think reach out to your account manager and see like, what are the options? And we would like to kind of do a deep dive of what your business needs are, so our sales engineer can actually help you point out on that demo side of it to make sure how the product works for you. And then accordingly, you can make the decision on which plan works better for you. Trip, if you want to add anything to that, I'm happy to, but let me know if I missed anything.
Yeah, I think Suresh, that's pretty spot on. We're going to be following up with an email shortly after the webinar, either later today or tomorrow morning. The email is going to have a web form link. We're not asking you all for a ton of information, but basically just some feedback on the webinar, what you all got out of it, and then if there is anything you'd like more information on, there'll be a space in that link for you to ask any questions, or if you just want somebody to reach out, obviously we're more than happy to there as well.
For sure. So one other thing, and this is slightly off topic, but I know we scheduled this for roughly an hour and we've got a bit of time. Trips Rush, if you think it'd be applicable, I wouldn't mind showing off a little sneak peek of a feature that was released last week that may garner some interest.
I think absolutely, Scott.
Awesome, awesome. That's what I was hoping you'd say. All right, so let me do this here. I'll kind of minimize this piece. If I can get through it here. Sorry, again, the Zoom controls are fighting me. All right. So I had kind of talked about over on the left-hand side where we had our dashboards folders. We've been building out something at ShareFile called projects. And just recently we've made, and I say recently is the last week, we've made a pretty cool addition to these projects with our templated catalog. So when I click on a project, basically what we're designing this to be is an option for you to manage particular projects that you're working through within your day-to-day environment, whether that's a construction project, whether you're going through an onboarding process, whether it's in real estate and you've got multiple properties that you're working through. Essentially what we're now doing, instead of just using shared folders to add clients to it and allow them to update and access everything, we're now setting up these projects so we can be much more detailed about what we're processing, what we're doing. So I'll say, for instance, let's look at a subcontractor onboarding project template that ShareFile has built out. So I've got the ability to create this. It's an open project and I can share it out with either internal users or external users. And I have the ability to kind of manage the permissions that I'll show you here in just a second. But with each of these comes the ability to set different tasks. So now we're looking at verification of background checks, or review and approval process. And these are things that internal users within your company will have to go through if you're trying to bring somebody on with your client. We've got the ability to set document requests, so we can look for financial information. Your client would log in and see, hey, I need credit references. I need proof of bond capacity for this scenario. And they'll see each one. They can kind of click and drag and upload these items one at a time, and kind of gives a description of each one of these as well. So we're not just hoping that they send us the right information. We are listing very specifically what it is that we need for each one of these document requests that we're sharing out to the external party. We've also got the ability to set information requests. So we're doing a pre-qualification questionnaire on this template. I need to contact information, phone numbers, what kind of industry that you're working on, years of experience. Let me get any references that you may have. And this is information that they're providing. Again, it's all being created and stored back into ShareFile. And as I go into the user permissions that I referenced before, let's pull that up here. So when I go and manage users, if I was to add another user onto this, let's share with maybe our test user that we've been working with. So I thought he was going to be added to it. So I'll just add myself. So I can choose a permission set here. So I can grant them full rights. Maybe they're going to be a team member of mine who needs to collaborate on the project, or could just be a client that is coming on and they need to be added in a limited capacity. So what each of these does is I've got very granular permissions, just like your shared folders, where I can come through and I can specify what they can do on each of these, whether they need to be able to delete documents out of the request, where they just need to be able to upload documents to it, if they need to view the comments, if they need to be able to see or view the tasks on here. We have the ability to specify the permissions for both internal users and external users, all within ShareFile, to work on this project and get everything done and completed by the specified due date that's going to be listed within the document request as well as on the overall project. And these templates that I'm referencing are going to be visible in our ShareFile catalog. We've already got multiple integrations that are listed here that we could use to kind of tie in ShareFile, whether that's QuickBooks or Salesforce, to pull that documentation into ShareFile. But now we also have the ability to set these pieces here, whether we've got the listing agreement, patient onboarding for our healthcare customers, bookkeeping for our financial customers. I specifically work with the industrial vertical, so I'm working with bid management, subcontractor onboarding, as well as real estate with the listing management agreement. So this catalog is going to continue to be built out by our ShareFile experts and our industry experts to generate this. And that's going to be more and more information that will be available to you to templatize and kind of customize to whatever you see fit for your different processes. And it's a lot more powerful and useful than simply doing, hey, I'm going to create a folder, I'm going to add a client to it, and they're going to upload the data for it. So that's something that I just wanted to highlight. Again, it was just released last week. It's something that I'm really excited about. And so any chance that I get to share that off, then I certainly want to take the option to do so.
Thank you, Scott.
Of course.